Good morning, guys. A very good morning to all of you. So today we are here to start our discussion about the mechanical operation, and this is a quick revision class. So we will try to cover each and every aspect of the mechanical operation in few hours. Plus we will do some of the GATE previous year questions as well for practice. Okay. So there are two ways. First, either I can solve those questions by my I can select those questions according to my choice, or we can discuss those questions which you guys want. Okay, so in mechanical operation, if you want any question to specific any question that yes, this should be discussed in the class, then you can mention during the class anytime. We will discuss that. Okay, otherwise I will discuss questions according to my choice. Okay, so in mechanical operation, as I have already told you in classes as well, that the weightage of this subject is about 4 to 5 marks, and out of those 4 to 5 marks you can easily secure all 4 to 5 marks. Okay, means 100% scoring subject this is. So I don't know whether you have attended the classes or not, or you have watched the recordings. So after the whatever we have discussed there today, this is your revision, and that will be more than sufficient to score those 100% marks in GATE 2021 exam. And after this, I will suggest you, after today's class, you don't need to do the daily revision for AMO. After today's class, you just need to do one more revision for obviously practice to memorize the equations and everything, whatever is there. Okay, just before the exam, and that you can do by your own. Okay, just before, one night before or 1 week before, that is your choice. So in mechanical operation, we will discuss the subject topics based on their importance. Okay, the importance they have in GATE exam means the frequency. So we will discuss those topics which have the higher frequency, and then the lower, least important topics. Okay, so but before all of that, one simple topic should be there, simple terms or simple topic, you can say the solid characteristics and size reduction. So first we will talk about that, then we will talk about any other topic. Solid characteristics, and then we will talk about the size reduction. After that we will discuss the high frequency to low frequency topics. So solid characteristics, as the word suggests, characteristics means to characterize something. Characterize means to identify something or to distinguish something, to differentiate something. Okay, so if I talk about the solid characteristics, means I am going to use such parameters which I can use to identify one of the solid in the crowd. Okay, like in a particle mixture, in a solid mixture, we have so many solid particles, but I am interested only in one of the specific kind of particle. Okay, so how can I differentiate that particle? How can I identify that particle? Like in a classroom, in a college, in a entire nation, suppose our Prime Minister wants to identify you. Okay, so how he can identify you? Based on certain parameters like your first name, father's name, date of birth, height, identification marks, so many things are there. Similarly, in solid characteristics, we have 3 parameters. One is particle size, second is particle shape, third is physical properties of the particle. So physical properties are like density, refractive index, melting point, thermal conductivity, bulk elasticity constant, etc. Okay, so I hope you must have studied all those properties in the respective subjects. So we will not talk about that here. Next is particle shape and particle size. So if I talk about the particle shape, so particle shape is basically the geometrical structure of the particle. Okay, how your particle looks like. And the particle shape, based on the particle shape, we can classify the particles into two categories. One is regular particle and second is irregular particle. Okay, so what is regular and irregular particle? Mathematically, we can simply say regular particles are those which have sphericity equal to 1 and irregular particles are those which have sphericity less than 1. Okay, that we can denote by phi. In some books it is denoted by phi s. Okay, so what is sphericity? Sphericity may be defined as the surface area to volume ratio of a sphere having same volume characteristics to the surface area to volume ratio of the given particle which you wanna study. Okay, here I am using a sphere as a standard particle because whenever I talk about the identification, comparison or differentiation of anything, okay, I always need a standard parameter, some ideal reference, okay, based on which I can compare. Okay, so here we compare all the particles based on their shape using the term sphericity, and the standard particle, the regular particles, we assume that spheres are the regular particle. Okay, so based on the sphere we compare all the other particles, but when we are doing the comparison, obviously there must be one common parameter, because when we have one common parameter, only then we will be able to compare that. Okay, and what is that common parameter? That common parameter here is volume. Okay, that whatever given particle you have, for example, this, let's say, this is some given particle, this marker, dummy marker, and I want to calculate the sphericity of this particle. Okay, so this is one given particle. I can measure the volume of this particle. Okay, easily you can use the Archimedes principle to measure the volume of this particle. Okay, how? I think you know that. Just put this particle in a bucket full of water. Whatever volume of water will be displaced, you can measure that volume, and the volume of that displaced water will be same as the volume of particle. Okay, and the surface area you can calculate with the help of adsorption experiment or XMR or other methods. There are so many methods are there. Electron microscope also you can use. Anyways, so you know the volume of this particle. Now we will assume some hypothetical sphere. We will imagine that there is a sphere of same volume as this particle have. Okay, and then when we know the volume of the sphere, we can easily calculate the surface area of that sphere, and we will compare that. Okay, and this ratio will give us the sphericity. Okay, and one thing I hope all of you know that among all the geometries, a sphere has the minimum surface area for a constant volume. Means if you choose n number of particles having different geometries but same volume, okay, like a cylinder, cube, cuboid, sphere, triangular particle, conical particle, anything. Okay, so you will find that the surface area of the sphere is minimum among all of them. Okay, and what is the reason? The reason, I hope you know that, You must have studied that in mensuration or in fluid mechanics as well. Anyways, we will not talk about that. We are here for mechanical operation only. Okay, so since a sphere has the minimum surface area, volume will be same. So you can see that surface area of a sphere to the surface area of given particle. Mathematically, we can write it like this: surface area of a sphere to the surface area of given particle. So it's obvious the numerator is less than the denominator, so sphericity will be less than equal to 1 always. Okay, and mathematically you can write the sphericity as if you know the surface area of a sphere, okay, that is 4 pi r square, or you can say pi d square. Volume of a sphere pi by 6 dp cube. Ultimately, the ratio of that surface area to the volume of a sphere will become 6 upon dp. Surface area to volume of given particle, let's say sp over vp. So mathematically, by using this expression, you can calculate the surface area, the sphericity of any given particle, where this dp is called equivalent spherical diameter of given particle. Okay, whatever particle you have, you can measure the volume of that particle, and based on that volume we will imagine a sphere of having same volume. Okay, and the diameter of that sphere, which has the same volume as the given particle, is called the equivalent spherical dia of given particle. And you can easily calculate that, as you know, volume of the particle is Vp and the volume of a sphere has to be same. And what is the volume of a sphere? You know that is pi by 6 dp cube. So from this you can calculate the dp, the equivalent spherical dia of the given particle. Okay, so that's how you can calculate the sphericity for any particle. Okay, the condition is you should know some formulas, like how to calculate the surface area and volume of some specific geometries. Okay, because definitely that will not be given in the exam, in the question paper. Okay, like you must know the surface area, how to calculate the surface area and volume of a spherical particle, of a cubic particle, of cylinder, of conical particle, cuboid, cube, and all that. Okay, so all those formulas should be clear, plus the hollow cylinder, hollow sphere, all those things as well. Anyways, okay, so I hope this is clear to all of you. Okay, so before we move to the next part, the size reduction, here there is a one practice question for all of you. Okay, because I want this class to be interactive. Okay, little bit interactive, not much. Okay, so can you tell me what will be the sphericity for a cylinder of 4 centimeter diameter or you can say standard cylinder. Okay, tell me the sphericity of a standard cylinder having 4 centimeter dia. हालत खराब है भाई साहब बहुत. In case any one of you doesn't know, standard cylinder means the diameter and height of the particle will be same. Time up. If you have got the answer, that's wonderful. If you haven't, then it's okay. Just see. See, we have to calculate the sphericity of a standard cylinder having 4 centimeter dia. A standard cylinder means the diameter by height ratio will be 1. Okay, means the diameter and height of the cylinder will be same. So here the diameter and height of the cylinder will be same. That is, ये कैसा 4 है? 4 centimeter. Okay, now I need to calculate the sphericity. Okay, so we know that sphericity can be calculated by this formula. So here, first I need to calculate the SP, VP, surface area and volume of the given particle. So for a sphere, we know that the surface volume of the particle can be calculated by pi by 4 d square into h. So here, when you put the values, you will get volume as 16 pi cubic centimeter. Okay, then the surface area. So now if I talk about a cylinder, so in case of cylinder, one thing should be clear in your mind. Okay, like if you are walking on any road side, okay, or on beach or on mountains, anywhere, if you find any cylindrical solid particle, okay, on the road, if you find any rock which is cylindrical in shape, so is it a solid cylinder or hollow cylinder? So most of the time you will see that that is solid cylinder only. Okay, so here as well, whenever they are talking about the cylindrical particle, so in our mind, we will not go in all those details. We will consider that as solid cylinder only. Okay, if there is a hollow cylinder or anything, then they will mention. Otherwise, we will consider that as hollow cylinder only, not the and that is closed as well, not the open. Okay, so for a solid cylinder that is closed, I hope you know that the surface area will be this, that is 2 pi RH plus the surface area of this side and this side. Okay, so ultimately you can simply say 2 pi r times of r plus h, or that is pi by d times of d by 2 plus h. Okay, so like this you can calculate the surface area of the cylindrical particle, closed cylinder that is. Okay, so when you put the values, it will be 4 plus 2, 6 into 4, 24 pi cubic is centimeter square. That's how we can calculate the surface area. Now for the dP, just equate the volume of the particle with volume of a sphere. Okay, that is pi by 6 dP cube. So from here you will get dP is equal to pi will cancel, cubic root of 16 into 6. So 16 into 580 and 16 into 6 is 96. Whatever that value is, I don't know, centimeter. And put all these values here in the relation, you will get sphericity. Okay, that's how you can calculate the value, whatever value is coming. Okay, so that's not a big deal. So always we will consider a closed cylinder. Okay, until and unless it is not mentioned. So this is something about the particle shape. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you. Now next, let's talk about the particle size in solid characteristics. So it's very simple. Okay, only few things are there which should be clear to you. See, I am talking about the particle size. Size means how big the particle is. Basically the space occupied by the particle in, okay, particle size means space occupied by the particle. Okay, so if I talk about the space occupied by the particle, that is space occupied by the particle in one dimensional coordinates, then that is called length or diameter. If I talk about the space occupied by the particle in two-dimensional coordinates, that is area. Space occupied by the particle in three-dimensional coordinates, that is volume. Okay, and these are the physical significance and physical definitions of area, length and volume. So even in any interview or anywhere, someone asks you what is volume, define volume. So you can simply define like this. Okay. Anyways, so this is the meaning of particle size. And if I talk about the industrial level, so in industry, one thing should be clear to you. Based on the industrial measurements and as per the GATE exams, previous year papers and whatever papers are coming, they are going to have in future. Okay, one table should be clear in your mind regarding mechanical operation. Okay. Whatever table is given in the books, I don't care, and you should also ignore that thing. Just consider this. We will have four types of particles: coarse particles, fine size particles, very fine size particles, and ultra fine size particle. Okay, so coarse size particles are those which will have the diameter in centimeter and inches. Fine size particles are those which have diameter in mm. Very fine size particles are those which have diameter in micrometer, and ultra fine size particles are those which have diameter in nanometer or angstrom. Okay, so based on the diameter only you should know this. In books it is given on something else, some other parameters they have involved, like the screen size and specific surface area and all that stuff. Anyways, so but you should remember this table only. Okay, coarse size particles are like rocks, grains, etc., sand particles. Fine size particles are like talcum powder, the one example is there. Very fine size particles are like boric acid, boric powder, which we use on the for sports equipment to make the surface smooth. Okay, in snooker, billiards, carom. Ultra fine size particles are like coronavirus and other viruses. Okay, so you can see they are so small, you cannot see them from your naked eyes. Okay, that's why it is easy to spread. When we don't know, we are not able to see anything. So obviously that is harmful for us. Okay, so we should take some precautions, and I hope all of you are doing that very well. Anyways, next thing here is particle size analysis. Particle size analysis. Particle size analysis means, suppose I have a mixture in which I have n number of solid particles, okay, and I want to calculate the average size of the particles in that mixture. Okay, for example, in your class, okay, your faculty conduct any test of any subject. For example, suppose general knowledge quiz, okay, GK quiz they have conduct. The maximum marks was 100, and in your class there are 40, 50 or 100 students are there, and if someone is getting 70, someone is 17, someone is 16, someone is 80, someone is 40, like this. Okay, so if your faculty is interested that what is the average marks of the class, okay, so obviously he has to consider all the marks of all the students to find out the average value. Similarly, in a mixture where we have n number of particles of different size, and I want to consider, I want to find out the average value, the average size of the particles in that mixture. Okay, so for that we have several methods. Okay, first method is average size analysis. If the deviation in the particles, in a mixture we have a number of particles and their size, they have different size, but the deviation is small, okay, not very large, then we can use average size analysis. Okay, like one particle, some particles have diameter in 1 centimeter, some particles have diameter about 0.7 centimeters, some particles have diameter about 1.3 centimeters, so deviation is not large. So we can use the average size analysis. Okay, and in average size analysis we have several methods. One is arithmetic mean diameter. That is, that you can calculate as summation of Ni dpi over nt. Ni is the number of particles in ith fraction, dpi is the average diameter of particles in ith fraction. Okay, means in the mixture I have different size of particles. So what will I do? With the help of screening or any other method, I will separate all those mixture, all those particles into different fractions of uniform size. Okay, like here I have all the particles of 1 centimeter diameter. Here I have all the particles of about 0.6 centimeter dia. Here I have particles of all the particles of about 1.4 centimeter dia. Okay, so in this fraction what is the number of particle? In this fraction what is the number of particle, and so on. And the average diameter of particles in this fraction is 1 centimeter, here 0.6, here it is 1.4, like this. Okay. Second is mass mean diameter, on which there was a numerical in last year paper. For 1 mark you have, they given some sample size and they will ask you to calculate the mass mean diameter. You can calculate that by using this formula, summation of xi over dpi, xi into dpi. Okay, where xi is the mass fraction of particles in ith fraction. Like here we have the total mass. What is the mass fraction of particles in this? Mass fraction of particles in this with respect to this total mass. Like this. You can calculate the mass mean diameter. Okay. Next is volume mean diameter, that you can calculate as dV bar is equal to 1 over summation of xi over dpi cube entire power 1 by 3. Xi dpi are same as in mass mean diameter. And last is Sauter mean diameter, also known as volume surface mean diameter. Okay, that is ds bar, or you can say dvs bar, is equal to 1 over summation of xi over dpi. So that is the average size analysis of the particles. I hope all these things are clear to all of you. And the last thing here is the mixed size analysis. So in the mixture, if the deviation in the particle size is very high, okay, like some particle have diameter 1 centimeter, some have 5 centimeters, some have 2 inch, some have 7 inch, like this. So you can see centimeter to inches, deviation has increased obviously. So average size analysis will not give the accurate value. Okay, although here as well it is not giving the accurate values, all these are the approximate values, but in that case the average size analysis will fail, okay, because the percentage error will increase. So we will do mixed size analysis, and mixed size analysis here we don't talk about the diameter, we talk about the surface area, the specific surface area. So for any mixture, the specific surface area you can calculate ASS as 6 over 5 rho p summation of xi over dpr. We assuming all particles have sphericity. Okay, if they have say different sphericity and density, then this term will go inside the bracket summation. Okay, it will become a summation of xi over phi I rho pi dpi, like that. But since all particles have same sphericity and density, so we can take out common outside the summation and it will become like this. So this is all about the particle size analysis, guys. Okay, and the particle size which we want to discuss. Next we will talk about the size reduction. Is it clear, all these things? Can we move ahead? Sorry, my bad. Stand by हो गया वो transistor. So in size reduction, what is size reduction? To reduce the size of the particles, and the purpose of size reduction you can do that by yourself. Okay, that's not so important, at least for the exam. And now we will talk about the methods. So on industrial level there are 3 methods of size reduction: compression, impact and attrition. Other than this there is one more method that is called cutting. Okay, but cutting, that method has as such no practical use. Okay, matlab on mass production. Okay, the cutting is used for the to give the finishing touch to your products. Okay, like finally we got the products. Now I want to give the finishing touch, like I want to get the desired size and shape. Okay, for example, our clothes. Okay, whatever clothes we are having, we are wearing, you know that when this fabric was manufactured, it was not like this. By using some scissors and other cutters, they designed the fabric, they mold the fabric in this shape and size. Similarly, the equipments which we are seeing around you, like the blades of the ceiling fan, the AC, the body of the television, monitor, mobile, all these things. Okay, these are the desired size and shape. Statues. Okay, you must have heard about the wax statues of famous celebrities in Madame Tussauds Museum. So all these things. So there are so many things are there. Okay, but here we will talk about these three methods mainly. So what is compression? Compression is when two continuous normal forces are acting on a particle. Towards each other. Okay, like there is a particle, this, and I am applying two continuous normal forces towards each other on this particle. Okay, like a sandwich situation, like this. Okay, so this particle will get compressed and then break after some time. So that is compression. And compression, this method we use in primary crushers to produce, this thing should be clear to you, that all these points, whatever I am discussing here, these points should be clear to you. In primary crushers, compression is used in primary crushers to produce coarse size particles. Okay, means we send some particles as a feed, solid particles. After crushing the product which I am getting, the crushed product, that particle will be in coarse size. Okay, so to produce coarse size particles. Next is impact. Impact is instantaneous force, or you can say the sudden force. Acting on any particle, like blow of hammer on nails or anything else. Okay, so that if you blow the hammer on anything, then it will feel a sudden force, an instantaneous force, a momentarily force. Okay, so that is called impact. So if particle get break in that thing, so that will be the impact force, and that will be the size reduction. If it is not breaking, then it will not be the size reduction. Okay, simple. And which type of particles we can break through this? Obviously, any particle which is not tough. Okay, I hope you understand some of the basic properties, or you remember that we studied them in first semester of the BTech or second semester. Okay, like toughness, brittleness, blah blah, so many properties, mechanical properties are there. So toughness is the property by virtue of which if we apply a sudden force on any particle, it will absorb that and will not break. Okay, like rubber. Okay, so that is the toughness, tough material. But if I apply the sudden force on a glass, so it will break. Okay, so impact here is used in secondary crushing, or you can say secondary crushers, to produce fine size particles. To produce fine size particles. Next is attrition. Attrition is when two continuous forces are acting on any particle. Basically rubbing or massage, giving a massage to someone. Okay, like this is a particle. We are applying the shear force on that, like this. Basically, we are providing the massage to that particle, and because of that massage, the particle will get break. So that is the size reduction. And attrition is used in tertiary crushers to produce very fine and ultra fine size particle. Very fine and ultra fine size particles. You are not audible. अरे अब तो ऑडिबल होगा. कैसी बात कर रहे हो? क्या अब ऑडिबल नहीं है फिर से? अब तो सही है. अब मेरी तरफ से तो कुछ गड़बड़ नहीं हुई. यहाँ भी सही चल रहा है. Are you sure I am not audible now again? Am I audible? Yes. Okay. तो लास्ट मैसेज होगा, अभी डिलीवर हुआ. Wow. So these are the methods of size reduction, guys. I hope all these things are clear to you. Okay, now the next point here is size reduction is very interesting topic. Okay, why? Because we have only few points to discuss and we get so many type of questions from this. Okay, and if you just know this table what we have discussed yesterday, just now, okay, or what we are going to discuss, if you just know this table, you can solve at least 60% of the questions from GATE previous year papers which they have asked on this topic, size reduction. Okay, so like if I talk about the size reduction equipments, so obviously I am not going to discuss all those equipments. Okay, here I will talk about only few things because this is the revision class, this is not the discussion class. So in size reduction equipment, so we can classify the size reduction equipment in two categories. First, based on order of application or order of use, you can say. Okay, means on first what we are using, then second what we are using, third what we are using. The order of use, the order of application. So based on that we can classify the size reduction particles, size reduction equipments, also known as crushers and grinders. Okay, so we can classify them as primary crusher, secondary crusher, and tertiary crusher. Okay. Second is based on product size. Based on product size, we can classify the size reduction equipments, basically the crushers, the grinders, into three categories again. The coarse crushers, fine grinders, and ultra fine grinders. Okay, and you all of you should know that ultra fine grinders and tertiary crushers are same, secondary crushers and fine grinders are same, and primary crushers and coarse crushers are same. Okay, the meaning is same. And why they use? Okay, so you should know that as we have discussed, primary crushers, they are used, their operating method is compression, used at first place for crushing to produce coarse size particles. Okay. Then secondary crushers and fine grinders. So secondary crushers and fine grinders are used at second place. Their operating method is impact, and they are used to produce, as the name suggests, fine grinders, fine size particles. Coarse crushers, coarse size, fine grinders, fine size. And then tertiary crushers and ultra fine grinders are used at third place. Operating method is attrition, and they are used to produce very fine or ultra fine size particle. Okay, so there was a question in GATE exam. Okay, I don't know, remember where, in which year it was, but there was a question to produce talcum powder. Which equipment you will prefer? Okay, one question for MCQ question, multiple choice question for 1 mark. Okay, to produce the talcum powder, which equipment you will prefer? Okay, some options were there, but forget about the equipment. I am just asking you which category of the equipment you will use. Primary crusher, secondary crusher, tertiary crushers, or you can say coarse, fine or ultra fine. So to produce talcum powder, which equipment you will use? Say, out of these 3 categories, which category of equipment you will use to produce the talcum powder? Right now there are so many people and only 2 of you are answering. So remaining people are just watching this lecture as a movie and having popcorn. Wow. So बता देना, if you need nachos as well, I will send you. हमारे पास डिलीवरी बॉय है, नाचोस भी भेज देंगे और पॉपकॉर्न खत्म हो जाए तो वो भी भेज देंगे, ठीक है. Secondary crushers, fine grinders, wonderful, awesome, correct answer. As we discussed, talcum powder means fine size particle. Fine size particle means mm. Okay, so for fine size particle we have impact, means fine grinders, means secondary crushers. Okay, and if there was a question in maybe 17 or 16, okay, to produce a particle in micrometer size, which equipment you will use? To produce the particles in micrometer size, which equipment you will use? Okay, so tell me which category of equipment you will use to produce the particles in micrometer size. टर्शरी, सेकेंडरी, है? मुझे लग रहा है ये पिछले क्वेश्चन का आंसर है. आई डोंट नो व्हाई यू वर सेइंग टर्शरी फॉर talcum powder. For micrometer size means very fine. Very fine means attrition, ultra fine grinders or tertiary crushers, you can say. Simple. Okay. Talcum powder means mm. Mm means fine. Fine means secondary crushers or fine grinders. Now the question, what is the difference between crushing and grinding? Crushers and grinders, what is the difference? Simple. Just understand. Crushers are used to produce the particle in coarse size. When you want to produce the particle in coarse category, then the equipment which we are using called crushers. But when you want to produce the particles either in fine, very fine or ultra fine category, then the equipment we use is called grinders. Okay, there is a difference between crushing and grinding, and this is the difference. Crushing, when the size reduction and after size reduction the products are coarse, then that is called crushing. But if after the size reduction products are fine, very fine or ultra fine, then that is called grinding. Okay, so all these things should be clear to you. Okay, so I hope this difference is clear, And the equipments are 2-3 equipments you must know. Primary crushers, coarse crushers are like jaw crushers, gyratory crushers, roll crushers, etc. Secondary crushers, fine grinders are like ball mill, hammer mill, pebble mill, tube mill, needle mill, etc. Tertiary crushers and ultra fine grinders are like colloidal mill, attrition mills, fluid energy mill, etc. Okay, so these are the examples of these category of equipments. Okay, and here if I talk about the ball mill, which comes in the fine grinders category, so there is an equation called, sorry, forget about the equation. Let's talk about the ball mill directly. That comes in the category of fine grinders. Okay, what is ball mill? Ball mill is consisting of a cylindrical shell in which we fill balls. Okay, the heavy metallic balls or concrete balls, depending on the equipment, the process, the industry. But nowadays, in most of the cases, we use the heavy metallic balls only. Okay, so these are the heavy metallic balls which in this cylindrical shell. Up to 30 to 50% by volume. Okay, and then we feed the material which we want to crush. We feed that material, and after that we start to rotate this cylindrical shell on its axis. Like if this is the axis, here we have the cylindrical shell, so it will rotate on its axis. Okay, and during this rotation, if you see the cross-sectional view, so these are the balls which are already there, and these balls are called grinding media. Thank you, Balaji. Okay, if you replace these balls by the rods, that will be rod mill. By the needles, it will be needle mill. By the pebbles, it will be pebble mill. By the tubes, it will be tube mill. Anyways, so when this ball mill is rotating about its axis, okay, like this, initially the speed will be slow. Obviously, directly we cannot go to the 100. We will go step by step only. Okay, suppose initially the speed is slow. So in this case, what will happen? These balls, since ball mill is rotating, so obviously some centrifugal force will also act on these balls. And because of the centrifugal force, because of the friction between the balls and the surface of the ball mill, these balls will move slightly upward, along with the shell, along with the walls of this container. Okay, but since speed of the ball mill is very slow, so the centrifugal force acting on the balls will be slow as well, and it will be less than the gravitational force which is acting on this ball. So what will happen? Gravity force will dominate the centrifugal force, and these balls will start to come down like this. They will come down in a sliding manner. Okay, वो slide करता हुआ नीचे आएंगे, and this condition is called the cascading condition. Cascading condition. And in this case you can easily visualize by yourself that balls are there. Some balls are coming like this, sliding. Balls are sliding above each other. So whatever feed is between them, that feed will get crushed. The size of that feed will reduce, but by attrition, because balls are sliding. And when balls are sliding above each other, means they are giving massage. Okay, rubbing is taking place. So here that grinding takes place due to attrition. But that will be the very small amount of grinding. Okay, grinding, very small size reduction will take place. Further, if you increase the speed of the ball mill, what will happen? These balls will move upwards, they will climb little upward as this, but again centrifugal force is not sufficient, gravity force influence is there, so these balls will start to fall down. Okay, and in this case when balls are falling, so you can simply say this ball, like this fan is falling. Okay, this fan is falling on someone, so the person will feel the impact force only. Okay, because that fan is not dragging that guy up to the core of the earth. Okay, it is just falling, so the person will feel instantaneous force. Similarly, these balls are falling, so the feed will feel the impact force only. So this condition is called the cataracting condition. And in this case, the grinding takes place due to impact. And the major grinding takes place during this condition. Okay. And further, if you increase the speed of the ball mill, okay, what will happen? All balls will start to rotate along the surface, along the walls of the ball mill like this. Neither they are sliding nor they are falling. They are just moving along with the surface, along with the walls of the container. Okay, and in this case, this condition is called the centrifuge condition. Or you can say centrifuging condition. In this condition, there is no grinding. No size reduction is taking place. Why? All the feed, all the balls are moving along with the balls of the container. Why? Because the centrifugal force is so high that it is dominating the gravity force. Okay, so all balls are moving along with the container and everything is when moving just like this. So it is a centrifuging condition. No grinding is taking place. Okay, so now you can understand, as we are increasing the speed of the ball mill, the minimum speed of ball mill, the minimum speed of ball mill where centrifuging occurs. Centrifuging occurs. Okay, is called critical speed of ball mill. Critical speed of ball mill. Okay, and what will be the favorable condition here? Can you tell me what will be the favorable condition out of these three? Which condition of the ball mill you will prefer? Cascading, cataracting or centrifuging? So all of you are saying the second condition, that is the cataracting condition. So the operating speed of the ball mill, should be less than the critical speed or greater than? Critical speed is denoted by NC. Tell me, the operating speed of the ball mill should be less than or greater than the critical speed or equal to critical speed? Less than, obviously. Okay, so the operating speed is actually some fraction of the critical speed always, and that fraction is about 50% to 80% depending on the process, depending on the nature of material, blah blah. So many things are there. So this is something about the ball mill. And the critical speed, the formula is 1 over 2 pi square root of g over r minus r. If everything is in SI units, so the critical speed you will get will be in RPS. G is the gravitational acceleration, 9.81 meter per second square. Capital R is the radius of ball mill. Small r is the radius of balls which we are using. Okay. So I have a question for you for the practice purpose, okay? Just for the practice purpose. I will give you 2-3 minutes to answer that. If you are able to give the answer, that's wonderful. If not, then it's okay. Obviously, we are going to discuss. So question is, a ball mill of 1 meter diameter is charged with 300 dia balls and rotating at 15 rpm, full stop. Okay. What will be the size of ball mill? What will be the size of the ball mill if the balls are replaced by (150 mm) diameter balls and operating at same speed? Okay, don't go on the language. I know there is some grammatical error. There should be, this should be like what should be the size of the ball mill or whatever it is. But try to understand the logic of the concept, question, okay, and approach. So I hope it is clear, the question. So if you have any doubt in the statement, you can ask. Otherwise, let's start the solution and tell me what will be the answer. 50 to 80%. No, that is incorrect. I am asking the size of the ball mill, and size of the ball mill cannot be in the percentage. You getting any answer? Anyone? Zero 0.7 m, 0.72 m. Okay, let's see. First case, it is given that a ball mill of 1 meter dia is charged with 300 dia balls. Okay, so what will be the critical speed? I don't know. Let's see. G will be 9.81 meter per second square. R is the radius of ball mill. So diameter is 1 meter. So radius will be 0.5 meter in SI units. Minus small r, that is the radius of balls. So balls are 300 dia. So radius will be 150 dia, that is 0.15 meter. I hope you know that. Okay, so from this you can calculate the critical speed. Okay, and we know that the operating speed of the ball mill is F times of the critical speed. Okay, but the condition is operating speed is given in RPM and this critical speed is in RPS. Okay, R by RPS means revolution per second. So I need to change this into RPM. Okay, so I know that 1 minute is equivalent to 60 seconds. Okay, so NOP, that is some fraction of the critical speed, will be equal to F into 60 over 2 pi multiplied by G 9.81 over 0.5 minus 0.15. This is case 1. Second case is operating speed. We know that some fraction of the critical speed, and in second case critical speed will be different. Okay, and what is that? Speed is, balls are changing, so critical speed has to be different. But what is that? The critical speed has to be 9.81 over radius of the ball mill, which I don't know, R2 minus I want to calculate. Okay, and small r, that is 150 mm. Okay, 150 mm is the dia, so radius will be 75 mm, that is 0.075 meter into 60, so that it will become in RPM. Okay, so they are saying that operating speed has to be same in both the cases. So you can equate them and you will get from first case F into 60 over 2 pi multiply by G over 0.5 minus 0.15 is equal to this side. It will be F into 60 over 2 pi. 2 pi will be there, critical speed, into G 9.81, or you can simply say G only, over R2 minus R1. Okay, so everything will get cancelled and you can equate them, you will get R2, whatever value is coming. All of you are getting almost 0.7. So I can say that R2 will be 0. R2 is 0.7 or what? पता नहीं, अभी 0.7 R2 है या D2 है? The 0.72 is the diameter of ball mill or radius of the ball mill, guys? In my case, R2 is coming out to be 0.425 meter. So the size of the ball mill is coming out to be 0.85 meter. and your answer is 0.7. How is it possible? Shivansh, 0.85. Correct. Yes. See now, here in the question it is they are asking the size of the ball mill. Okay. So remember this, in mechanical operation, whatever topic is there, if they are talking about the size and that is a linear dimension, so we will answer always if that is not mentioned, then size means either diameter, area or volume. If that is a linear dimension, then that has to be in diameter always. Okay, so you don't need to get confused. Like in exam you are typing your answer in 0.42 meter, okay, and in terms of radius, and after exam you are seeing that the official answer is this. Okay, so it may happen. So try to avoid these kind of mistakes. So remember, in mechanical operation, until and unless it is not mentioned, the size means diameter, if that is a linear dimension. Okay, otherwise if that is a 3D dimension, though obviously it will be volume and area. So I hope you understand all that stuff. Okay, so like whoever you are answering for 0.425 meter. So either mention radius is equal to 0.425 meter or otherwise answer 0.85 meter, because never answer in radius until and unless they are asking. So this question, is it clear? And the people who were getting 0.7, 0.72, something like that, have you checked your calculations, what mistake you have done? Everyone, कौन था? पॉइंट आउट करने का मतलब नहीं है, बस मैं आई एम जस्ट आस्किंग, क्या नाम लेना छोड़, कुछ समझो आप लोग. Okay, wonderful. So this is the ball mill. See, such a easy numerical, easy thing, easy concept, but still you are not getting the correct answer in first attempt. Okay, so that is the problem. Okay, if you are not getting the correct answer here, so I can assume that only two things are possible. First, you got so excited, and because of the excitement and you wanted to solve everything so fast, you did some calculation mistakes, or you are not interested in calculations and that's why you didn't read the data properly and just made some mistakes. Okay, the mistakes in ball mill numericals people can do. First, when I am writing these values here in the formula, when I am writing the values here, I can write R is equal to 1 meter. Small r is equal to 0.3 meter. This is the mistake most of the people do because of the excitement or I don't know what. So always focus, read the question statement properly, see the formula. You should know the meaning of each and every term, and when you are putting the values, be careful. Okay, and I am sure maybe you have made this mistake. Okay, I don't know, maybe some other mistake is also possible, but be careful with this. This is radius, remember, not the diameter. Data will be given in diameter most of the time. Okay, but you have to be careful. Anyways, next. Similar ball mill ho gaya. One more equipment is there, roll crusher. So in roll crusher there is a equation, angle of, ये कहाँ से आ गया? अच्छा मेरा इधर से हाथ टच हो रहा है, sorry. If I talk about the double roll crusher, okay, so in double roll crusher, what is the double roll crusher? See, thank God I can use this function to have the similar diameter. So in double roll crusher, we have the two rolls of same outer diameter, okay, and they are rotating towards each other. Okay, one of the roll is fixed and the other one is connected to a one of the roll is connected to a motor, and that's why it is rotating, and the second roll is either free or it is also connected to a motor, a separate motor. Okay, but in most of the cases it is free. Okay, so when you send the feed from the top, okay, so what will happen, because of the friction between the and the feed surface, this free roll will also move. Okay, and since both are moving towards each other, so this feed will lift down and feed in these rolls get compressed and crushed, and here in the bottom we are supposed to get the products. Okay, here one thing should be clear to all of you when we talk about these double rolls. So if you draw the vertical tangents of these rolls, okay, so the shortest distance between those two tangents is called the clearance. Okay, also you can say the maximum possible product size. See, again here I am talking about the product size. So what is the product size? That has to be in diameter, not in radius. Because if you think radius and diameter, diameter is a complete dimension. Radius is not the complete dimension. So obviously if I am talking about some person, or if I am identifying anything, I will identify that anything or that particle or that person completely. ठीक है? अगर आप किसी भी पर्सन की, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल किसी की अगर आप शादी का हाथ लेने मांगने जा रहे हो, क्या बोलते हैं, आई डोंट नो, तो आप हाथ, सिर्फ हाथ नहीं मांगते, आप पूरा इंसान मांगते हो, है ना? सॉरी, मैं सब कर गया, बट आई होप यू आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट आई वांट टू से, है ना? सो वी ऑलवेज टॉक अबाउट द कंप्लीट डायमेंशंस. So diameter is a complete dimension. That's why in most of the cases we talk about the diameter, not the radius. So here one formula is there which you should know, that is angle of nip. What is angle of nip? See, these are the two rolls. Feed is connected with these two rolls. So if you draw a tangent between the feed and the rolls, okay, so here we will have the tangent like this. Here as well we will have a tangent. So the angle between these two tangents is called angle of nip. We can denote that by AN or alpha. Okay, so I am writing directly mathematically that cos alpha by 2, if angle of nip is alpha, if this is alpha, then here it will be alpha by 2. Okay, and that will be equal to, see, what is the value of cos theta? We know that the value of cos theta is between 0 to 1 only. Okay, the value of cos theta cannot be greater than 1. Okay, so here as well, remember, capital D, the diameter of these rolls, crushing rolls. Okay, now since cos theta cannot be greater than 1, it has to be less than 1. So obviously it means the numerator should be less than the denominator. So numerator and denominator, what should become? Now we have feed size, let's say small d, feed diameter, and the maximum possible product size, L. What will be the smaller value? Everyone knows product size will be the smaller one. So L will come in numerator and D will come in denominator. Only then this equation will be satisfy the logic of cos theta. Okay, so that's how you can memorize this. It's not a big deal. Okay, and here one more thing is there. If you want to calculate the coefficient of friction, coefficient of friction. Okay, so coefficient of friction mu I will be equal to tan alpha by 2. Mu I is equal to tan alpha by 2. That is, alpha is the angle of nip. So here we have alpha by 2, alpha by 2. If 2 alpha is the angle of nip, as it mentioned in some of the books, they have mentioned angle of nip by 2 alpha. So in formulas they have cos alpha, tan alpha. Okay, so don't get confused with all that. Okay, whatever angle of nip is there, here the half of it will be used in the formulas. So this is roll crusher. Is it clear? फिर से बारिश. ऑलरेडी मैं भीगा हुआ हूँ, और कितना भीगूंगा भाई. Yes, okay, wonderful. Next is crushing laws, or laws of size reduction, laws of crushing, laws of combination. Okay, so here we have 3 laws of size reduction, but in all those 3 laws there is one common assumption. Okay, and the common assumption is all particles have same sphericity and density. All particles means all feed particles and all product particles. Okay, density means if you are crushing the iron in the product, you will have iron only, you will not have the gold or silver or mercury, anything else. Okay, similarly all particles have same sphericity. That means if you are crushing the cubic particle, if you are crushing the cubic particle, क्या बन गया? क्यूब ऐसा थोड़ी होता है यार, ये होता है ना. If you are crushing the cubic particles, so in products you will get cube only. If you are crushing the cylindrical particles in the product, you will have cylinders only of same H by D ratio. Okay, that thing should be clear in your mind. Like we just calculated the sphericity of a cylinder in earlier part of the class today, as someone of you saying that it was about 0.81 or 7, I don't know. So remember this, there are 2 cylinders. This is one cylinder where you can see the length is greater than the diameter. Okay, this is also one cylinder where diameter is greater than the length. So both are the cylindrical shapes but with a different L by D ratio. Okay, so that thing should be clear in your mind. Like if in the feed I have a cylinder in which diameter is 3 centimeter and height is 1 centimeter. So in the products, if the diameter of the products is 1.5 centimeter, then height will be 0.5 centimeter, because the D by H ratio, H by D ratio has to be same. Okay, so cylinders are characterized by H by D ratio. That should be clear in your mind. Okay, ऐसा नहीं होगा if the H by D ratio is 3, here H by D ratio is other than 3. It is not possible. Otherwise, if we have different H by D ratio, then crushing laws will not be applicable. Okay, because sphericity will change, and according to crushing laws, in all the 3 cases, all the 3 crushing laws, Bond's law, Rettinger's law and Kick's law, the sphericity of the feed and the product has to be same, and for the cylinders sphericity will be same only and only when H by D ratio in both the cases, in feed as well as product, will be same. Is it clear this point, the H by D ratio about the cylinders? Okay, like if we have a cylinder of 4 centimeter dia and 2 centimeter height, okay, one more cylinder where diameter is 4 centimeter, height is 6 centimeter. One more cylinder where diameter and height both are 4 centimeter. Okay, all these three are the cylinders, but the sphericity of all these three will be different. You can check by yourself as well. Okay, today whenever you are free, or later on any day, whenever you are free, you have nothing to do. Okay, बोर हो गए पढ़ते पढ़ते, थोड़ा टाइम पास करना है, then you can cross check this thing. अबे कहाँ चला गया भाई ये? हाँ, you can cross check this. ठीक है? You will see the sphericity of all these three cylinders will be same. Oh, sorry, will be different. Okay, so in crushing laws, this is one very important assumption, that all particles must have the same sphericity and density. And in sphericity, all the shapes are of okay because they are fixed. But if I talk about the cylinder, so in case of cylinder, how can I differentiate the cylinders based on their H by D ratio or L by D ratio, whatever you want to say. Okay, so that should be clear in your mind. In the feed, whatever H by D ratio is there, in the product as well, we will have the same H by D ratio for the cylinders. Okay, now the first is Rittinger's law. Second is Kick's law. Third is Bond's law. Okay, I hope all of you know their statement. Okay, that's not a big deal. If you wish, you can see the literature. So here W is equal to P upon M dot, that is equal to KR 1 over dPb minus 1 over dPa. This is the Rittinger's law. Kr is the Rittinger's constant. In Kick's law, the energy required, means work required, W, will be P upon M dot is equal to Kk ln of dPa over dPb. Kk is the Kick's constant. In Bond's law, W, that is P by M dot, is equal to Kb 1 over square root of dPb minus 1 over square root of dPa. Okay, so one thing you must have studied in your life, in BTech, in 11, 12, has everywhere, dimensional analysis. There is a rule, dimensional consistency, that every equation has to be dimensionally consistent. Dimensionally consistent means the units on the left hand side and on the right hand side has to be same. Okay, then we can say the equation is mathematically dimensionally consistent. Okay, so here in all these three laws, if you want to have them dimensionally consistent in the same units, okay, so remember this: P, power required for crushing, power required for crushing, power required for crushing, has to be in kilowatt. In all three cases. Mass flow rate should be in tons per hour. In all three cases. In case of Bond's law, the diameter has to be in mm. In Rittinger's law, diameter has to be in meter. In Kick's law, they must be in same units. Whatever units you want to use, but that should be same. Meter, meter, centimeter, centimeter, inch, inch, mm, foot, foot, whatever is. Because that is the ratio, so conversion factor will get cancelled. But in case of Rittinger's law, if you are using power and flow rate in kilowatt tons per hour, then diameter should be in meter. In Bond's law, if you are using Py m dot in kilowatt tons per hour, then it should be in mm. Okay, so these units should be there. Kb is the Bond's constant, which you can calculate as 0.3162 times of Wi, where Wi is the work index. 0.3162 times of Wi. ओके, अगर आपको ऐसे याद नहीं रखना तो आप इसे सिंपली ऐसे याद रख सकते हो. Kb is equal to square root of 0.1 into Wi. Square root of 0.1 is 0.3162. Can you imagine? 0.1. And the square root of 0.1 has to be less than this, but that is 0.31. And mathematically, if you see which is greater, that is the funny part of the mathematics. Anyways, किसी को समझ में नहीं आया तो इग्नोर कर देना, ठीक है. So this is about all these three laws. Okay, if I talk about the statement, Rittinger's law. Energy required for size reduction, energy required for crushing is directly proportional to the new surface area created. Okay. Kick's law. Energy required for crushing a particle will be same for same reduction ratio irrespective of their initial size. Okay, means if reduction ratio is same, then energy required for crushing has to be same. And what is the reduction ratio? The diameter of feed to the diameter of product. Diameter of feed to the diameter of product is called reduction ratio. Means if you want to reduce the size of a particle from 200 mm to 50 mm, or a particle from 800 mm to 200 mm, you can see the reduction ratio is same, 4. So energy required for crushing will be same. That is Kick's law. Rittinger's law is applicable for the particle size range less than 0.05 mm. Kick's law is applicable for the particle size range greater than 50 mm, and Bond's law is applicable for the particle size range between 0.05 mm to 50 mm. What is Bond's law? Bond's law is the energy required for crushing a very large particle. The energy required for crushing a very large particle is directly proportional to the square root of surface area to volume ratio, square root of surface area to volume ratio of the product. Means W is proportional to square root of surface area to volume ratio of the product, means B. Let's say A is for feed, B is for product. And from the sphericity formula we know that SP over VP can be written as 6 over phi dP. Since phi is same for all the particles, so I can write dP as dPb. Okay, and when you equate proportionality sign, blah blah, so many things are there. We have discussed that already in the classes. So you will get the Bond's law in this form. Okay, so this is Bond's law, and this is all about the size reduction laws which we should know. One more thing is there, the work index. Okay, that also discuss kar lete hain. What is work index? Work index, see, only Bond's law give us the facility to calculate the constant. Okay, in Rittinger's law we have Rittinger's constant, in Kick's law we have the Kick's constant, in Bond's law we have the Bond's constant. But only Bond's law gives the facility to calculate the value of that constant. Okay, with the help of work index. Work index, that is Wi. What is work index? Work index may define as the gross energy required, the gross ये क्या हो गया? The gross energy required in kilowatt hour per ton. As you can see, I told you, kilowatt hour per ton, all these values. Okay, kilowatt hour per ton to reduce a very large feed up to such a size, that the 80% of the product, 80% of the product may pass through 100 micrometer mesh screen. 100 micrometer mesh screen. And in mechanical operation, that is one concept. Suppose I am using a screen of size L. Okay, so if I send a mixture, whatever solid particles mixture is there, I don't care, I am sending that. If that screen allows 20% of these particles to retain and 80% of these particles to pass, if that screen allows 80% of the particle to pass and retained exact 20% of the particle, okay, then we say that the average size of those particles in the mixture, the average size of all the particles in the mixture will be equal to L. Okay, that is one logic we use to find out the average size. There are n number of methods. One of the method is this, based on the screening. Okay, so here I am saying that work index may define as the gross energy required to reduce a very large feed up to such a size that 80% of the product may pass through 100 micrometer screen. Okay, so according to Bond's law, if you see, this is the Bond's law, original Bond's law. W is proportional to square root of 6/5 dpb. Okay, when you remove the proportionality constant 6, 5, all these things, so W will be equal to kb times of 1 upon square root of dpb. This is original Bond's law. Okay, if you remember. So here just put dpb, that is 100 micrometer, or you can say 0.1 mm. Okay, so you will get Wi, or kb is equal to 0.3162 times of Wi. Okay, that's how you will get kb, Bond's constant, with the help of work index. And work index has to be constant for all the particles. Okay, because the product size is fixed and the material is same. So if material is same, so all the values 5, 6 will be constant. So for different type of materials, work index will be different but constant. Like for limestone, that is about 12.74 kilowatt hour per ton. Okay, like this. So all these laws are clear to you guys? 3 laws. And this is all about the size reduction, which we want to discuss. Next we will talk about the mixing of solids, then sedimentation. 2 most important topics. Is it clear? Yes. Okay, so here we have one numerical which we should discuss, which I want to discuss, because that numerical will lead us to another concept, another point, key point, which we should know about all these laws. Okay, so in case any one of you does not have the coaching's manual, the GATE previous year questions, no problem. What you need to do, just go on the website. हमारी वेबसाइट कहाँ है? पता नहीं कहाँ है, यहाँ पे आ जाती है. जस्ट टाइप द गेट कोच. गार्जियन नहीं यार, गार्जियन से वाहियात पेपर कोई नहीं है, बायस्ड पीपल है वो. thegatecoach.com, और अदरवाइज जस्ट सर्च द गेट कोच ऑन द गूगल. हो क्या रहा है? कुछ हो रहा है? हो तो रहा है. You will get the first website, thegatecoach.com. Go on that website. ठीक है? In the bottom section of the website, we have different things. These are the solved papers, means unsolved paper, where you will get the GATE previous year papers of all the years. Okay, at least from 1992 something. This is MO previous year paper. Download that. Download started. Completed नहीं आया लिखा हुआ. Okay, so that is also one way. You can download the MO GATE previous year papers, all compiled. Okay, so I'm going to use the same sequence. डाउनलोड स्टार्ट हुआ नहीं हुआ मुझे तो पता नहीं, मतलब स्टार्ट तो हुआ था, कंप्लीट हुआ नहीं हुआ ये नहीं पता. सर्च करते हैं. एमओ विदाउट सॉल्यूशन, हाँ हो गया, कंप्लीट हो गया. दिस इज द एमओ. हियर फ्रॉम प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर्स देयर आर 2 क्वेश्चंस व्हिच आई वांट यू टू सॉल्व. फाइल फॉर्मेट कांट बी ओपन. अरे यार यहाँ पे फाइल नहीं ओपन हो रही, क्या मजाक चल रहा है. WPS अपडेट करना पड़ेगा. हाँ. ऐसा स्कैम मत करो मेरे साथ. Anyways, I told you how to download that file. Okay, so I am telling you the question number. (32 and 33). And 59. Okay, so these are the 2 questions which you should solve now. Practice them. Okay, it's 1 p.m. 2 hours हो गए हमें. Let's have a lunch break. Okay, तब तक मैं अपने कपड़े देख लूंगा वो सूखे नहीं सूखे. So let's have a lunch break of 25 minutes. It's 1:05 here. See you at 1:30, and then we will complete in 3 hours. We will complete all the remaining topics. Okay, those are important and easy. Mixing, sedimentation, and fluidization. 3 main topics. Okay. So see you after 25 minutes at 1:30. Ta-da.